Hey everybody, this video I'm doing is a response to a guy on YouTube by the name of Storm Clouds Gathering. As soon as I opened YouTube, I saw there's like a thing, recommended or whatever, suggestion, and it kind of caught my eye, of course, by the title. There's actually two different videos he did, actually. The one that caught my eye to begin with was one called Why Silver and Gold Won't Protect You from the Economic Collapse That's Coming. And his other video is an open message to gold/silver enthusiasts. And I listened to what he had to say, and I definitely have a few disagreements with what he says, and I'm going to tell you why I disagree, which should make sense. I'm pretty confident. So what I'd like to do, for one thing, I know a lot of my subscribers, we all been screaming, silver, 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 not even gold, silver, 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 and rightfully so, because when we first started talking about this, silver was 65-to-1 ratio with gold. It is now currently 35-to-1 ratio with gold, so that was a good move. So I know I have a lot of subscribers that love silver, and we're the silver guys. Having said that, if you go visit his page and his video, you don't need, what I'm saying is, if you're like a diehard guy, who the hell said that? Nah, you don't need that. You don't need to go there. The guy he's got a solid head on his shoulders. He's got the right attitude. He just is voicing his opinion on why he thinks the hell with gold and silver, basically. It's not really going to help you. And of course, he mentions a little bit about history, shows this and that, and I too know about history, saying this and that kind of thing too. So I want to kind of respond to him, but I would like to play the video live, and then kind of pause it and interject with, my disagreement or whatever. I'm going to start with the second video that I found of his after I watched that first one. This is the one that's called An Open Message to Gold Silver Enthusiasts.
Hi guys, this is a message to the silver bugs out there, the guys who get really excited about silver prices jumping every time. I'm not going to name any names of any specific channels, but you probably know who I'm talking about. I've seen guys actually throwing like ecstatic fits, when silver hit 30 and then when silver hit 40. It'll hit 50 and they'll probably throw another party. It'll hit 60, it'll hit 70. It'll go to 200. I don't think they'll be partying by the time it gets to 200. Because I think by then, a little bit of reality is going to set in. And that's what I want to talk about. The reason I don't think people should be celebrating silver is because regardless of how much silver you have in stock, and I don't think you have that much. Maybe you have $10,000 worth if you're lucky. Maybe if you're really, really wealthy, maybe you have $100,000 in silver. That would be spectacular. That would be pretty amazing if you had that. But I don't think you have that. But even if you did, that wouldn't change anything about what I'm about to say. That amount of silver, any amount of silver, is not going to protect you and your family and the people around you, your extended connections, your friends, from what's going to happen to this country when that happens.
Alright, so my first interjection. It's not going to protect you when the economic collapse really takes place. In other words, we're all on the same page. Holy crap, even the sheep, the people who don't think anything's wrong, everything's fine in society, when we really see, wow, the economic collapse is definitely taking place. Oh my God. Wow. So let's just assume, I personally have been buying silver since I've been awake, which I consider myself awake since probably starting to awaken in around 2006. By 2007, late 2007 or so, I started buying silver because the research I did, the history I found, thousands of years of history should, make you really realize what things will go back to should a problem occur, financially or economically. So you're saying that it's not going to save you, and even if you had 10 or 20,000, let's say, worth of silver, well, you're not saying at what price you bought in it. If you have 10,000 worth of silver today at $50. Well, what's that, 200 ounces? Even so, 200 ounces is nice, but let's just, because I always use this number, and I've been collecting myself since 2007, a lot more people have probably a lot more silver than I've got. I am that average guy. I'm not wealthy by any means. Completely average. I've even used credit cards to buy some silver. But let's just throw a number out there that I hear all the time that people try to shoot for. That's what I want. That's what I've got. You know, those kind of people. 500 ounces of silver. It's the math I do all the time on it. Now, it wasn't that long ago, I think in early 2009, I believe it was early 2009 when you know, the JP Morgan group crashed the price of silver down to $10. I personally made a nice purchase at that time. Maybe other people bought all of theirs at that time, but at $10 an ounce times 500 ounces, you're out $5,000. You know what I mean? So $5,000 for 500 ounces back then, which again, this is 2009. This wasn't that long ago. Let's just be fair and say you got 500 ounces, but it cost you $10,000 because you didn't buy all of it when it was 10. It was a very short period of time. You bought some at 20, some at 10, whatever. 500 ounces, $10,000. That's what it cost you. Doesn't matter if it was through a credit card, a loan. People can get $10,000. It's not that hard. You can get a credit card. Again, you can even get a personal loan. You could have taken equity out of your house. Again, this is 2, 3, 4 years ago, easily, and bought silver. So if you did that, and again, today's price is $50. And as this guy says, I'm not sure his first name, but his name is Storm Clouds Gathering, said, you know, it could go to $200. And personally, as you all know where I stand, it's going to go well beyond that, even if it's for a short period of time during the big boom chaos cycle that ensues between, we had paper money, it was backed by nothing, what are we going to do? We're definitely not going back to paper money. Gold and silver, history always shows that's what people will flock to. Even if it's a short period of time, and then the government comes back down, settle down, we've got a back system that's backed by gold or silver or whatever. During that interim period is really when he's talking about. And that could last years, there's no telling. And that interim period is going to be the vicious part you don't want to be a part of if you can help it. So again, if you got 500 ounces of silver, it cost you a total of $10,000 over the last few years. And the freaking price goes $200, $300, $400, $500 an ounce. Let's say 500, just for simple math. And I'm not throwing a number out there that's absurd. There's people who look at $500 ounce silver and say, we're going to blow through that. Are you kidding me? Right, so 500 times 500, 25, $250,000. A $10,000 investment over the last couple, 2, 3 years could net you $250,000. So when you're saying, it's not going to do you any good, well, my house, let's just average house. Again, I'm not the rich guy. Let's say I owe $150,000 on my house because my neighbor and this neighbor and that neighbor and that guy and that guy and that guy and that guy around this whole neighborhood who didn't collect any silver and had the blinders on to this whole thing. What good are they in? What position are they in as compared to someone like me or whoever else that has some silver? And I just threw a number out there for everybody. I'm not saying that that's exactly what I've got for silver. It's just a very common number, easy math, etc. 500 ounces would net you $250,000. You could go and pay off your $150,000 house and have $100,000 left to do whatever. At the same time, if you are renting and you just say, or you're in a house and you don't like it, it's in the city, I want to get the hell out of here, I can see what's coming. There aren't people in the streets yet, breaking into houses all up crazy, but it's coming. I want to get out of here. Sell my silver, $250,000. Oh, I want to go, my job's still here, I gotta have a job. But a 30-minute drive that way is kind of country land, away from the city where I live now, where there's 90,000 people in this smaller city actually. I'm going to a city where there's 35,000 people, or 30, or 20, or whatever. It's 30-minute drive, and it comes with 5 acres. It's got a nice house on there, a lot of land. There's deer on the property. There's fishing, whatever. Right? You find that house that someone has to sell at the time because they were one of the people. I got to get out of here. I lost everything. My 401k is destroyed. I didn't have silver or gold. I'm destroyed. I gotta sell my house, the only asset I've got. I'm getting out of here. I'm going to move with Ma and Pa or my friends or family up in wherever, land, country, state, whatever. And then you get that house, which at the time is going to be a fire sale. We all know that during a collapse, that house will be a fire sale. So you may pick up at $80,000 for a beautiful house, 5-10 acres. You know, and I'm just throwing this out there because this isn't crazy thinking. It happens all the time. Look at the property for sale right now. I personally know someone who just spent $180,000 a year ago and bought a huge piece of property in Florida in an area where it shouldn't have sold for that. Just the last price the house sold for was around $400,000. They got it for $180,000. And again, this isn't even during the collapse yet. So, if I had $250,000, I go buy the beautiful dream house, not because it's a dream house and I'm loving life. I was able to not be one of my neighbors or people in the city who are breaking into each other's houses left or right. You call 911, the police can't even respond because their phone's busy. It's just chaos everywhere. People are breaking in. We don't even come to those calls anymore, just like in California. I did a video on this a little while back. I want to say it was Oakland, California, where they actually put out a little press release. Due to the financial situation of the city we're in Oakland, we're laying off officers, and those that we still have, we will not be responding to any calls unless it is life-threatening. That was what they did in a press release. This was over approximately a year ago now. Again, this isn't even during the collapse that I'm talking about, as well as Mr. Stormcloud's gathering. The one that I know he's speaking of. We're not there yet. It's coming. And as he says, you know, he's talking about when it gets here. We're not there yet. So, you can't have the police coming. They're not going to show up during a, crisis like that. You want to get away from the city, but you don't want to be too far where you can't go back to work or whatever. You still have to live. So, again, we all use paper dollars here. I'd rather spend $10,000 now, even now at $50 an ounce for silver, and get myself a couple hundred ounces, whatever, or whatever it equals, $50 an ounce times 100 would be $5,000. So yeah, we're talking, 200 ounces would be $10,000, whatever. And then sit back and then say, okay, great, it was 50 when I bought it. It's now 200, 300, 400 ounce. Now I'm selling because it's still not chaotic yet, but it's coming. It's very close. I'm out. Give me my money. Get out into the country, buy that house or whatever. That's really the point I'm making. So when you say, oh, it's not going to do you any good. Oh, it's going to do you real good. Fabulous compared to everybody else. But as you did say, and I think maybe you're about to say, what happens after that year or 6 months that silver you were able to sell it and get a bunch of money just to kind of survive? Well, if people with silver are just kind of surviving and they blew through all that money in 6 months to a year just to stay alive due to the incredible food prices and whatever else you're thinking is going to happen, then what about 99% of the entire United States population? What boat are they in? Because not even 1% of the population owns silver, by the way. So if not even 1% of the population owns silver in any reasonable amount, maybe they have one coin, but or jewelry. That we're not talking about that. What position are they going to be in? So to tell people, oh, you silver guys, it's not going to do any good. That's, honestly, the right word to say here. That's nonsense, because it really is. I'm not attacking you as a person or anything, because I see what you're saying and where you're going, what you've done. And I appreciate that, actually. That's why I'm not trying to bite anyone's head off. I'm just, voicing my opinion now on that little subject. So I definitely can talk, and I can keep going, as my subscribers know. So for God's sakes, let me stop right now and continue watching this video, because there's probably a few more points I want to make that I think are valid. So let's continue here.
Silver price gets to that, because the meteoric explosion in silver and gold prices isn't because the value of gold and silver is going up. It's because our way of life is being destroyed.
Now that is true for the most part. And he's about to say, again, I already watched this, he's going to say the things you can buy normally, in the old example, actually, he didn't say it, but this is a very common example. 2,000 years ago, one Roman gold coin could buy you an entire outfit, nice, decent outfit, belt, sandals. I mean, you were hooked up. Not too long ago, and even now, you could say, one gold coin, which is $1,500 right now, can still buy you a very nice suit, tie, shoes, belt, buckle, you know, the whole thing. That's the point he's saying. So it's not necessarily that the price of gold and silver is going up. It's the price of the dollar collapsing and going down. But I do have to, this is why I say you're right, but to just one little extent, there's a little, I need to correct you on one thing. And that is, the price of silver and gold have always had a ratio throughout thousands of years of history. It's normally around 16 to 1, sometimes 20 to 1. It usually didn't fluctuate much. That was about it. And believe it or not, up until the 1960s, that ratio was pretty close. It was still in there. And then 1971 comes along. We're dumping the dollar backed by gold. Silver is being demonetized as of 1965. No more silver coins, and you know, silver in the coins, etc. So that then silver basically became crap, or it's not even money, you know, whatever. So again, as I mentioned, it was 70 and 65 approximately to 1 with gold not that long ago. Really, not long at all. Maybe a year ago you could have even found those numbers. Today it's 35 to 1. So silver is going back where nature or history, whatever, says it belongs. So at the same time, yeah, the dollar is collapsing slightly. And if you look at what things cost us, you know, staple foods and gas and just the everyday thing, power, energy, compared to the way silver is going up and gold going up, they're not comparable. So if the dollar went down 10%, gold and silver didn't go up 10%. Because silver was just, again, many of you know this, 4 months ago, silver was $26 to $28 an ounce. It's $46 right now, plus the fee you're going to pay just to get a freaking thing. You're at $52 basically. In other words, that $26 in December of 2010 is now doubled to 50, 52, whatever, right? It's doubled. But the dollar didn't collapse 50% in 4 months. You're not seeing a rise in all the everything around you 50%. That hasn't happened. So reason being is JP Morgan, as a lot of us know, have been suppressing gold and silver, especially silver. And that's why silver is what I always scream. Forget gold, even though it's a good investment. Silver is going to destroy it performance-wise. So if you're like me and you're just trying to protect yourself, I'm not trying to, you know, I'm not the guy out there, yeah, silver's $46 while the world's falling apart, because like he's saying, you're going to be affected by the world falling apart too. So you can have your little party for a little bit and then you're going to come to the conclusion, oh, this kind of sucks because everything around me sucks now. That's true. But I'd rather have that silver and have a huge weight off my shoulder. I can afford that very high priced loaf of bread. I can afford that XYZ. Well, meanwhile, my neighbors have moved in 10, 15 people like a bunch of Mexicans. Speaking of Mexico, he mentioned, and they're just trying to survive, like what happened here in the Great Depression. I talked to my wife's uncle. He said the same thing. We would live 12 to 15 people in a house, and out of those 12 to 15 people, well, you might have had 2, 3, maybe even 4 people who had a job, even though it didn't pay anything, and you could at least get the bills paid and do what you got to do. Of course, everybody was on food stamps at the time. So I'd rather be that guy with the silver nest egg who can go 6 months or a year and afford all the expensive things. Because again, if I'm selling all my silver just to buy food, then what about the 99% of the people who don't have silver and gold, who don't have this nest egg or wheelbarrows full of money because they didn't sell any silver, they don't have any? How are they eating? How are they able to get the stuff? You know, our silver is not like the IRS or the government knows, oh, you've got X amount, you've got these assets. You can't qualify for, you know, food stamps. Believe me, even if we have silver and the crisis comes and bread and milk and everything is completely skyrocketing, we're not going to be selling our silver to say, hey, we're doing the right thing. We don't have to sign up for food stamps. No. We will be in food stamp city too, along with everybody else. And if there's free food handouts, we will be there too. Trust me, everybody will be. Why would you blow your entire 6 months worth of silver just to survive for 6 months and then it's all gone and then say, okay, now I'm going to go stand in line at the food stamp place for 2 years? That's stupid. Take the asset, the silver, buy a house, buy a farm like you're trying to do, like you said you did in your other video. You bought a bunch of land. But I don't have the money, and most of us who are collecting silver, believe it or not, don't have the money 2, 3, 4 years ago, or even now, to say, oh, I'm going to go buy a little plot of land that's 2 or 3 acres, 4 acres, 5 acres, whatever. It's too expensive even now for someone to just go do. But, again, do you got $5,000? Well, yeah, I could afford that. In another year or two, could you put another $5,000 on a different credit card after you get that one paid off? Well, yeah, I could do that too. Okay, now you've got, again, this was my example, 500 ounces of silver. Price goes to $500, $600 an ounce. 5 times 5, 25, $250,000 plus. You're going to sit pretty. You can have that farm. You can have your family and friends who were the bozos who didn't want to listen to you. Nah, it'll turn around. The U.S. dollar is strong. Yeah, that's nonsense. Only to find out, gosh, you were right. We didn't have any silver. We've been going to Disney World with the kids every summer, spending, $2,000 every time we go to the whole castle and the spend the night thing. Yeah, listen, can we come over to your place? Sure, I've got a big acreage out here with a nice big house. You can put a trailer. Matter of fact, I'll buy the trailer for you. Since you're my sister and my mom and dad, I'll buy you guys a couple extra trailers that I can get for, $5,000 a piece because no one has any money and they'll sell them for anything. Come on down to the farm. Thank you for my silver for allowing me to do that. That's the point I'm making here. So let me continue.
That's not something to celebrate. Because at a certain point, that's going to mean abject poverty for you and most of the people you know. And you may think that just because you have some silver that's going to protect you. It's not. Silver is not a means of production. Silver is not going to keep expanding upon itself, becoming more and more and more.
You're right. But history shows when people flip out, what do we do? Where do we go? The paper money's collapsing. Where do they run to? Gold and silver. Even if it's for 5 months, 6 months, and then they come out with the United States Amero dollar, whatever you want to call it, and it is backed by, or made of, partially, whatever, gold and silver, or both, whatever, or it's at least backed by that, people, okay, we'll settle back down. We lost our livelihoods, we lost our 401ks, we lost everything in the interim, but at least we got something stable. At least I'm alive. I was able to eat. My family's alive. That's all I care about. Even though they got destroyed by these bankers, they're not going to care about that. I'm alive, and that's all I care about. Those of us who had the silver didn't have to deal with that, potentially anyways. That interim, that completely sucked terribly. And you're going to hear about stories of people getting beaten, raped, killed, murdered, stolen, everything out of control. As any third world, as he mentions in Mexico, how people steal anything. I mean, it amazed him what people would break into his house to take an old beat-up hammer, rusty hammer or something, So we can say, well, we didn't have to deal with that because I was able to sell my silver, bought some guns, protect my family, sold my silver, got a new house 30 miles away or 30 minutes away, out in the country, etc. So that's why I have to strongly disagree with your statement there. So I'm going to go ahead and continue this.
You have a certain amount saved, and once you don't have a job, you're going to have to start using it.
Right. So you have a certain amount of silver saved, and once you lose that job, which believe me, unemployment to the likes of which we've never seen is going to come. And I know he knows that. So you're saying that we're going to lose our jobs and then you're going to have to sell your silver. Again, what about the other 99% of the population? And saying 99%, that's fairly accurate, actually. Let's just say 90%, if that's not a good number. 90% of the population who doesn't have silver, didn't have this idea in their head, they lost it all, have no money, have no job, now what? That's 90+% of the entire United States population in some boat in which the government's going to have an answer to. They're not going to let all these people starve to death, because if they do that, the government's gone. Anarchy will ensue. Forget the New World Order. Forget any government, period. That's not going to happen. There will be some way to keep people fed, etc. So if we have that silver, we don't have to immediately start selling it all of a sudden just to survive for a few months while everyone else stands in line for free at the government handouts getting free food, while we don't do that and we decide, no, we're too good for that. We're the silver guys. So I'm just going to sell my silver and pay these outrageous prices for food and gas and electricity and just destroy my entire silver investment to get by a few months, only to find out that I'm now standing in line with the rest of these bozos out there who didn't do that. No, we will be first in line there too, with the rest of the population, because we are getting screwed the same way. Just because we have a little nest egg of silver doesn't mean we're going to blow it to buy food when everyone else is standing in a line getting free food anyways. We're going to too, but we're going to be looking for the assets when the collapse takes place, saying, hey, what can I buy with my silver? As you say, you want assets, hard assets, a farm, something that's going to be good in a post-collapse society. So take my silver and stand back and say, what am I gonna purchase? A boat? No, I'm not gonna be a fisherman, so I don't need a pleasure boat. I'm not going to, I'm not buying a fast car to go racing around. No, that's nonsense. Farm? Good asset. Maybe a business that has to do with something that will stay in business. They're struggling. Hey, I can help invest. You need some new product. You need some new machinery. You've got business. Your doors are open. Yeah, I'll be your man. But I'm going to collect a paycheck from you and stay right. Yeah, okay. And then you're set. So the other 90-something% of the population is not going to be able to do that. They're going to be the ones standing in the streets, protesting and everything else, while we don't have to do that. Again, silver, man, you can't beat it. It really is a phenomenal investment. And I'm not saying that as an investment. It's going to save your life and your livelihood of your family and the family, your extended family, such as your parents, your sister, brother, whatever, because you know they're going to come to you because you're the one who was telling them to buy that silver. You're the one who's going to be able to help them, which will make their lives easier, and they'll be thankful that you did that. Of course, at the same time, you're going to be upset because you've been screaming at them to buy silver, and they said, nah, I'm not doing that. I don't have time for that. But you can't tell your family no. So buy a little extra silver for the bozos in your family so that when the time comes, yeah, I bought a little extra for you because I knew this day would come, and come on over. I got a trailer here you can stay into, etc.
How many years can you live off of the silver that you have stocked up? If you can't live for 20, 30 years off of it, you're going to have some problems.
Again, my comment I just said stands the same. I mean, it's the same. Nobody, what you're saying is everyone has to have silver in order to survive 20 or 30 years. If you don't have silver, what about those people? Because that's 90-something% of the population that doesn't have silver. So what are you telling them the situation that they'll be in without silver? You're basically, from what I gather, they're just going to die. They'll all be dead. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. The government will come in. There'll be price points. There'll be free food handouts, etc. That would happen. Again, I just can't see the logic in what you're saying. So let me just go ahead and continue here.
You might think, yeah, the price of silver is going to go to $500. So maybe this $10,000 of silver that you have stocked up, maybe it's going to multiply by a factor of 100 or 200. Who knows? But that's up against paper money. And this is, maybe your silver is going to be worth $3,000 an ounce. Who knows? I mean, that's pretty wild and extreme, but that's possible in a Zimbabwe type scenario, which it's likely where we're headed. But you have to understand, there's been times in history where people would bring in wheelbarrows full of paper to get bread. So that means that you'll be spending that same silver to get your bread.
Right. But again, 90% of the population who doesn't have it, what are they bringing to the bread store? What are they bringing to the government handout line? Nothing. So they're going to get it for free from the government. Same with Zimbabwe, as the example you use. That's a perfect example. Did 90% of Zimbabwe's population die off? No. There's a lot of them still there. Sure, some people died, I'm sure. Due to that one crisis they had there, I'm sure some people died, but not a lot. What happened is pretty much a huge portion of the society became poor overnight, kind of thing, right? They just became poor. If you're the guy with silver, you're the guy who doesn't become poor overnight. And again, you're the guy that gets to stand back while everyone else is becoming poor and say, what can I buy when I see the entire economy and society around me in Zimbabwe collapsing? Oh, well, it'd be a good idea to open a grocery store because that's definitely not going away. Oh, it'd be a good idea to open whatever within your society. You'll know what is sticking around and what's needed and that kind of thing. You'll see it. And with silver, you'll have time to even sit back and wait to see, well, what is it going to be in my society? I've got 6 months, a year, easily, whatever in your mind, to sit back and maybe buy up some assets. You buy the assets, and then you become the guy that's not the 90% poor nation that your nation becomes. It's really a no-brainer for me. And I'm not the guy that's screaming, yippee, you know, happy days because I've got a bunch of silver and this and that. That's not my intention long ago. It was simply protect myself, and that's all it is. And by protecting myself, the lifestyle I have right now would be nice if I could not only maintain it, but exceed it when the collapse happens, because the collapse is happening, and I can go buy assets that I could never in my wildest dreams ever have thought I could have afforded or bought. And then I become the guy, oh yeah, I bought this business, I bought this place, whatever, farm over here, there's dire needs of food right now, I've got 5 employees working for me, when I was the guy working for everybody else. Now those 5 guys that are working for me are thankful they even have a job, so they're not the real poor people, but they're just average. Me, myself, I'm fine, I'm sitting on the farm. Everybody else who's at the bread lines, the government and everyone else is buying that bread and stuff from me, and my 5 guys working on the farm, etc. It's just an example, by the way. There's going to be a lot of different types of businesses that have nothing to do with food or farms. This is just one little example.
I mean, maybe you'll be using less quantities of coins than people have to use for paper. It doesn't change the fact that it's not going to buy an infinite amount of bread. It's not going to buy an infinite amount of property, real physical goods. Historically.
Yes, it will buy property, and yes, it will buy real physical goods, as I just explained. So I'm gonna have to, you know, I gotta completely strongly disagree with that little comment that that you just heard.
Once you take out, you know, price manipulation, which yeah, that's going on, that's a reality. But once that equalizes out, historically, the price of gold and the price of silver has bought approximately the same amount of goods and services throughout history.
He's right, and I gave you the example of the Roman coin buying a nice outfit, basically. He's right. But again, during the crisis, when the sheep, the 90%, the 99% of the world's population, and specifically the United States, because that's where we all live, including him, figure this out, it's happening, it's too late, now you're dealing with it. That's when the prices of gold and silver will not only go way up, way higher than they are now, they will explode. And that's when us guys who knew this in advance, which is why we're telling people to buy silver, and we even give our reasons why to buy silver, and this is it, when that interim period comes and it absolutely explodes, $500, $600, $700 an ounce, etc. I'm all out. Give me all my silver, I'm selling all of it. Now I've got that cash. While the crisis is occurring, the bubble in silver and gold is now skyrocketing out of control because people are flipping out. Buy that asset, buy that asset, buy that asset. Sit back, pay off my house, pay off this. Everything's cash. I'm clean. I'm liquid. Loving life. Not really loving life because it's going to kind of suck, but you know what I mean. You're not feeling any kind of stress like everyone else is. You're actually doing good in a bad time period where 90-something% of the population is sucking bad. And you can step back and say, oh, well, I actually feel the same as I did 2 or 3 years ago. Actually better because I own everything I have right now. And I've got more assets in my life thanks to this silver. So, again, I got to strongly disagree with you on that.
So, if you put that into perspective, the amount of silver that you have is going to approximately buy the same amount of goods today as it will in 5 or 6 years when the rest of the economy is collapsed. So, how long do you have with the silver that you have? Probably not that long. I mean, maybe some of you guys will have 6 months worth of protection. Maybe some guys will have a year. But that's no means to celebrate. That's nothing to be excited about. Because even then, you're not guaranteed really 6 months of protection. If the rest of the world is hungry, if the people around you are in deep trouble, you're gonna have to protect whatever silver or gold you have.
Now you're right, and you know, guys, I talk about stuff like that too. You're absolutely right on that one. But even if you didn't have the gold or silver, people who are coming into your neighborhood, scoping things out at night or whatever, they don't know you have it one way or the other. They don't know if you have silver or gold, or that you're just another bum in a house, or you know, another bozo like them. They're going to still maybe find out. So they still may potentially come into your house and break in to see what you got. So you will need a gun, decent amount of ammo, etc., to protect yourself, your family from this kind of thing. Having silver or gold doesn't actually change that at all. It just makes you say, well, I definitely don't want them finding it in my house, knowing that I've got it, and then somehow escaping to tell someone else, maybe their friends, that, oh, we broke into this guy's house, he's got silver and gold, but he almost killed us and we had to leave. You wouldn't want that to happen. But at the same time, that's not going to happen. If someone's in your house, you're going to shoot them and kill them. Bottom line. And in Florida, where I live, you can shoot them as soon as they try to enter your house, literally break into your house. They don't even have to have a weapon on their hand. If they're breaking into your house, you can shoot them dead. You don't want them seeing your silver. But again, you're probably going to have it in a safe, somewhere hidden, out of sight. It's unrealistic to say they're coming, you know, there's 200 houses in my neighborhood. They're coming straight to you because they know you've got the gold and silver. How the hell do they know that you've got gold and silver? You have an average, you know, you got a sign out front. I sell gold. I stock gold and silver. No way. You would not be telling anybody. And which right now, you know, I have some because I talk about it all the time. But trust me, mine is safe. And I don't tell people where I live. I don't give people my full name. I'm just out here helping people on YouTube. Really, that's it. So I'm not concerned that all of a sudden they're going to come find my neighborhood and go after me. Because if they do, they're going to have a lot to get through to get it. And the guns and weapons and things that I have at my house, you're going to give up before you even get on my lawn and go down far away and decide I'm going to go somewhere else where someone else, like an old person's house that can't protect themselves. That's what would happen. So let's go ahead and continue this.
You're not going to just be able to spend it at will. There's going to be people who are going to be willing to kill you for it. If it's as valuable as you think it's going to be, if it's as useful as you think it's going to be, and everybody else is in desperate times, people will kill you for it. That's what happens when a society becomes impoverished. If you've never experienced what it's like to live in an impoverished country and just how desperate people will get, I suggest you go spend 6 months in Mexico and see what it's like. I've lived there a year and a half, and over a year and a half. And what I can tell you about that is that people would tear a hole in my roof to steal hammers and crowbars. I had people steal cheap, dirty, cook stoves. Amazing what people would steal when they were that poor. So really, there is no reason, absolutely no reason, to celebrate the rise of gold and silver, because this is the end of our way of life. And I really find it disgusting when I see these people partying about it. There's nothing to party about. I hope you change your perspective on that, because it really makes you look kind of adolescent when you celebrate something that's going to be so tragic. Anyway.
All right, my final comment. Yeah, I agree. I mean, no one has seen any video. I've got almost 200 videos now on YouTube, and I don't think there's ever been a video where I was just ecstatic. Oh, the price of silver blew through 40. It's 43. It's 46. Yeah. Which, even if it did, I mean, you do have the right to be an investor in anything. And hey, man, did you see the Microsoft stock today? Wow, we did great. You know, you're happy. Fine. That is okay. But having said that, I don't even do that. Yeah, I'm real happy it's at $46. I know it's going to 50. I know it's going to 100. I know it's going to be multiples of hundreds. But I'm not like cheering everything on, because I do know what he means. You're cheering this on, but what that means is if you see those numbers in gold and silver, then society has pretty much collapsed, or is in the speedy progress part of it, where it's collapsing rapidly, and some people are going to be stuck looking around like, oh my God, what is happening, while we're partying and happy and everything else. Believe me, we're not going to be doing that. When you see your country that was a first world country, allegedly the greatest country on the face of the earth, it was really an illusion, as we're coming to find out. The whole world financed us, but it's another story. So now that's coming home to roost, and it's gonna be putting pain on everybody. And let me back this up for a second.
Partying about it. There's nothing to party about. I hope you change your perspective on that, because it really makes you look kind of adolescent when you celebrate something that's going to be so tragic.
Here's the only reason that I would celebrate it and literally celebrate, yay, silver is $600 an ounce. And it's not because now I can pay off my house and buy assets, and that's not why I celebrate. I would be celebrating because I know everything in this world for thousands, millions, whatever years is nothing but a cycle. The cycle of everything In other words, there's nothing on this planet, including the planet, that isn't part of a cycle, a grand cycle. You plant a seed, it starts to sprout, it grows, it blooms and blossoms, it starts to die off and wilt, and then it's gone. Same thing with a human being. Same thing with a house. Same thing with anything. Everything has a cycle. So, knowing thousands of years of history, and even recent hundreds of years of history, I know that we are dealing with a paper money crisis, like it's happened in the past, not necessarily here, but wherever. It is now collapsing. What happens after the collapse? People run to gold and silver. After gold and silver, they'll keep that going for a little while, back it, and then another 100 or 200 years or whatever. Hey, let's get off the backing of that. We got a big society now. Once again, let's go to just straight paper, and then the thing starts all over again, right? So, I would be ecstatic when I see those numbers for one reason only. I know the end of the misery of the lying, cheating, stealing, bankers, politicians, disgusting people out there is over. And as the Mayan calendar, right, these Mayans said, the old ways will be thrown down a toilet, basically, washed away. The new age will come in, but the lies and the nonsense and all the crap will have to be exposed first at the end of the great cycle, which is, as you can see, look no further, everything is being exposed right now. Lie after lie after lie, everything's a lie. It's all being exposed. So I know when I see those numbers, that's just a wave washing some of that stuff away. And the back part of that wave is us silver holders saying, hey, it's $600 an ounce, great, but I know the end of the cycle is happening at the same time. Yeah, that sucks. But what happens after the end of the cycle? A new cycle begins, a new age, a new way of life, a new way of doing things, and those old ways will not be a part of the new ways, at least for a long time. So that's why I would get ecstatic when I see those numbers, because I know, finally, I've been waiting years now for this nonsense to occur, the stupid paper money system, the damn bankers to get washed away and thrown down a toilet. It is now approaching. That's why I would be ecstatic. So, having said that, I'm done talking now. As I said, I know I could talk a long time, but I need to bring up a lot of good points. Again, this guy, Storm Clouds Gathering is his name. Seems like a real good guy, real decent guy, great head on his shoulders. He's just giving his opinion. That was it. So, you know, guys, if you're seeing this video and you're ready to go bite his head off, don't go there. You know, there's no need. Look at some of his other videos. He talks about some good stuff, you know. But when I saw this, you know, it caught my eye. I had to make a response. I brought up a lot of good points. I know I did. Anyways, I'm going to post this to his video, and hopefully he accepts it as a video response. If not, you'll see it through, my own subscribers will see it on my page anyway. So that's all I got for you guys. I'm sorry it was like a 40-minute video, but this is a very important topic because a lot of people say what he says, and you can't eat gold, you can't eat silver. No, but I could buy a massive amount of food and commodities and things that I need with it, and that's the point I'm making. We're not holding on to the silver to the very end. We know when we see those outrageous prices, that's because the crisis is occurring. We sell. And then we go do the things that'll help us maintain our lifestyle. Buy up some assets, maybe buy a business that's going to do well, etc. So, that's all I got for you guys.